To the casual observer, a medieval castle might appear as a place of grandeur, elegance, and power. Its towering stone walls, glittering great halls, and lavish banquets suggest a world of luxury beyond imagination. Yet beneath this polished exterior lies an entirely different reality. A world that is often overlooked, yet absolutely vital to the functioning of the castle. It is the world of the castle kitchen, a space both chaotic and regimented, where the tireless work of countless hands ensured that the noble household could live in comfort and opulence. Here, the life of a castle kitchen worker unfolded, a life of relentless labour, constant danger, and profound endurance. The castle kitchen was enormous by medieval standards, often larger than a modern home, with multiple hearths roaring day and night. Fires were kept stoked at all hours, their flames consuming enormous quantities of wood, producing heat intense enough to make the stone walls sweat. Smoke filled every corner, climbed to walls, ceilings, and clothing, stinging eyes and making every breath an effort. The air was thick with the aroma of roasting meat, baking bread, boiling soups, and simmering stews. For those working within, it was a constant, almost suffocating environment, hot, noisy, and full of hazards. Life in this environment required both physical strength and careful attention. Large cauldrons of boiling water could topple or splash at any moment, causing burns. Knives and cleavers were sharp, their edges capable of cutting deeply if handled carelessly. Heavy trays and baskets had to be carried over stone floors that were often slick from water, grease, or the remnants of food preparation. Accidents were common, and injuries ranged from minor cuts and burns to broken bones or severe scalds. In a time without modern medicine, even small injuries could become infected and deadly. The castle kitchen operated under a strict hierarchy, mirroring the social structure above. At the top was the master cook, the authority responsible for the planning, execution, and quality control of all meals. This person coordinated a complex orchestra of workers, ensuring that each dish arrived at the noble table in perfect condition. Below the master cook were assistant cooks, apprentices, and labourers, each with clearly defined roles, responsibilities, and limitations. Apprentices often performed the most menial and gruelling tasks, chopping vegetables, cleaning tools, hauling water, or tending fires. Labourers carried ingredients from storerooms, transported heavy meat from cellars, and scrubbed floors, pots, and tables. Every member of the staff was essential, and mistakes could mean punishment, embarrassment, or worse, the wrath of the nobility. Despite this rigid hierarchy, life in the kitchen required teamwork, coordination, and trust. Fires had to be tended without interruption, ingredients measured and prepared in proper sequence, and multiple dishes cooked simultaneously without burning or overcooking. A single misstep, a scorched stew, a burnt loaf of bread, or a dropped platter could disrupt an entire meal. In a grand banquet, where dozens of guests waited in the hall above, the pressure was immense. The contrast between the chaos of the kitchen and the calm, ornate presentation of the dining hall was striking, highlighting how much of medieval luxury depended on the invisible labour below. For most kitchen workers, the day began long before the sun rose. Dormitories were cramped, often cold, and shared among multiple workers. Awakening before dawn, they set about their initial tasks, stoking fires, hauling water from the castle well, splitting wood for the hearths, and inspecting ingredients for quality. Medieval kitchens lacked modern conveniences. There were no refrigerators, food processors, or electric stoves. Every task demanded physical exertion and mental focus. Vegetables had to be washed and chopped by hand, meats butchered with precision, and bread kneaded and baked without mechanical ovens. Every step, no matter how small, required careful attention to prevent disaster. Meat was central to the medieval diet, especially for the nobility. Workers butchered cows, pigs, sheep, and sometimes deer or game, taking care to use every part of the animal. Bones were saved for broth, fat for cooking, and offal transformed into pies or sausages. Spices, sugar, and imported herbs added both flavour and prestige, but their rarity made them valuable. Handling saffron, cinnamon, or pepper required both knowledge and caution. Waste was unacceptable, and careless use could result in scolding, or worse, from a master cook or supervising lord. Many young workers entered the kitchen as apprentices, learning the craft over years of service. Apprentices performed the hardest, dirtiest, and most dangerous work, from washing dishes and hauling heavy water barrels to scrubbing floors and maintaining fires. Yet, these tasks were essential. The knowledge gained during apprenticeship about timing, seasoning, preparation, and handling delicate ingredients was invaluable for future advancement. Skilled apprentices could eventually become full cooks or trusted assistants, a promotion that meant higher wages, more respect, and sometimes better living quarters within the castle. Life as an apprentice also required endurance and resilience. Mistakes were punished, often publicly, and the long hours took both a physical and mental toll. But within the hardships, apprentices learned creativity, efficiency, and the subtleties of medieval cuisine. They became adept at managing multiple fires, juggling boiling cauldrons, and coordinating the preparation of dozens of dishes simultaneously. These skills were essential not only for survival in the kitchen, but also for social mobility in a world where opportunity was scarce. Seasonal variations presented constant challenges for castle kitchens. Winter was harsh. Frozen roads and snowstorms made it difficult to procure fresh ingredients. Vegetables had to be stored carefully in cellars or pits, while meats were salted, smoked, or cured to preserve them. Summer brought intense heat, infestations of flies, and the risk of spoilage. Every season tested the endurance, ingenuity, and knowledge of the staff. A well-run kitchen required foresight, planning, and the ability to adapt to the changing needs of the household and the availability of ingredients. Feasts and banquets heightened these challenges. Lavish celebrations required careful planning weeks in advance. Workers coordinated the preparation of multiple courses, often numbering dozens, ensuring that each dish was ready at the correct time, properly cooked, and attractively presented. Platters were carried across long corridors to the dining hall, sometimes in precarious conditions. A slip could ruin the presentation or waste precious food, making the pressure on workers immense. Yet, these events were also opportunities for kitchen staff to showcase their skill and gain the respect of their peers and superiors. The physical hardships of kitchen life were matched by mental strain. Workers laboured in extreme heat, in constant smoke, with the threat of injury looming at every turn. The monotony of repetitive tasks, combined with strict supervision and little recognition, could be mentally exhausting. Yet, camaraderie and small acts of defiance helped workers cope. Humour, shared stories, and even minor rebellions, like sneaking a morsel of meat or bread, provided relief from the harsh routine. These moments of human connection were vital, allowing workers to endure conditions that would otherwise be unbearable. Despite their essential role, kitchen workers were largely invisible to the world above. Nobles and visitors saw only the polished halls, elaborate feasts, and well-presented dishes. Every roasted bird, every spiced stew, and every loaf of bread was the product of tireless labour, often performed under harsh conditions for little recognition or reward. The skill, endurance, and resilience of these workers were fundamental to the functioning of the castle. Without them, the image of medieval opulence and sophistication would collapse. Even minor innovations, like improved bread baking techniques, clever fire management, or the use of new spices, reflected the ingenuity of these workers. Knowledge was passed down through generations, apprentices learning from mentors, creating a living tradition of culinary skill. Over time, the castle kitchen evolved, accommodating more staff, larger feasts, and increasingly complex menus. Yet the core reality remained. The life of a kitchen worker was one of labour, endurance, and silent heroism. The story of the castle kitchen worker is a story of survival, skill, and perseverance in a world defined by hierarchy and physical hardship. Hidden from view, these men and women laboured endlessly, navigating fire, injury, exhaustion, and the strict social order of the castle. Their work was relentless, their challenges constant, and their contribution essential. They were the unsung backbone of medieval life, ensuring that the lords and ladies could live in comfort, while the truth of labour and endurance remained hidden below. Every banquet, every feast, every carefully prepared dish was a testament to their skill. In the kitchens of medieval castles, behind the grandeur and glitter of noble life, the human spirit endured, resilient, inventive, and tireless. Their lives remind us that history is not only made by kings, queens, and warriors, but also by those who laboured unseen, whose sweat and skill sustained the world above.